Michael and I were inseparable friends, our bond forged in the crucible of childhood. We navigated the trials and triumphs of life side by side, our paths intertwined as we progressed through the same educational institutions, from the early days of youth to the hallowed halls of college. However, upon donning our graduation caps, Michael vanished without a trace, as if the earth had swallowed him whole. What perplexed me most was his complete lack of communication with his parents. He provided them with no means to reach him, no address to send a letter, no phone number to hear his voice. Yet, like clockwork, he would send them money, accompanied by succinct messages assuring them of his well-being and employment, imploring them not to worry about his whereabouts. The money transfers, as evidenced by the receipts, originated from somewhere in the north, a detail that only added to the mystery. For 5 long years, our lives diverged, no contact between us. During this time, I embarked on a new chapter, finding love and starting a family of my own. My wife and I had a chance encounter on a minibus, a moment of serendipity that altered the course of our lives. In a burst of courage, I approached her, suggesting we disembark at the next stop and continue our conversation over a cup of coffee. That simple act marked the beginning of our shared journey. Then, like a bolt from the blue, Michael resurfaced. It was a late Friday night, the clock ticking past midnight, when he appeared at my doorstep, a slight sway in his step, the scent of alcohol on his breath. He came bearing gifts, a bottle of champagne, a liter of expensive Scottish whiskey, a resplendent bouquet of roses for my wife, and an enormous toy car for my son. We welcomed him in, and my wife and I hastily prepared a spread. We raised our glasses to our reunion, the clinking of crystal punctuating the night as we delved into deep conversation about the paths our lives had taken. Michael shared stories of his work and various other topics, the details flowing freely. After this unexpected visit, Michael began dropping by sporadically, although he never came without my presence. However, I couldn't help but notice my wife's increasing mentions of Michael in our daily conversations. She would casually bring up his actions, his possessions, his accomplishments, a faraway look in her eyes and a smile playing on her lips. The poet's soul within me could no longer bear the weight of suspicion. I confronted her directly, asking if there was something untoward happening between her and Michael. She balked at the accusation, calling me foolish, and emphasizing the impossibility of any impropriety, given Michael's status as my friend. I chose to believe her, but a niggling seed of doubt refused to be quelled. 6 more months passed, and then Michael reached out to me, requesting a meeting for a serious discussion. We agreed to meet a couple of days later. The conversation that unfolded was nothing short of revelatory. Michael divulged that my wife was pregnant, a month along, and the paternity was uncertain, with either of us being the potential father. He expressed profound remorse for the deception, the betrayal, the web of lies, confessing that he had fallen hopelessly in love with my wife at first sight during his initial visit after his prolonged absence. He recounted how he had sent flowers to my wife's workplace, and though she initially rebuffed his advances, she eventually began responding to his notes through the same courier who delivered the floral arrangements. In a further development, she shared her phone number with him. Michael had gone to great lengths to facilitate their trysts, renting an apartment in close proximity to my wife's office. They would rendezvous there frequently during her lunch breaks, and whenever they could steal a moment together. What I found most perplexing was Michael's decision not to inform my wife about our meeting, or even forewarn her, despite their mutual agreement to no longer conceal their affair. I returned home, had dinner in silence, and once again steeled myself to confront my wife about her relationship with Michael. Her reaction was nothing short of explosive. In a heartbeat, her smile vanished, replaced by a maelstrom of fury. She unleashed a torrent of insults, labeling me the vilest of beasts for daring to suspect her of infidelity, especially in light of her pregnancy with our child. Hysterics and crocodile tears followed, punctuated by lamentations about her unwavering devotion to me, her willingness to do anything for our relationship, while if I'm being honest, the sheer force of her verbal onslaught initially left me reeling, but I managed to regain my composure. Instead of retaliating with heated words, I calmly and firmly asked her if she was absolutely certain that the child was mine. Her response came in the form of a stinging slap across my face. I proceeded to recount the details of my meeting with Michael, the crux of our conversation. The revelation left her stunned, rendered speechless for several minutes before a flood of apologies poured forth. She claimed that in the aftermath of her own conversation with Michael, she had come to the realization that she no longer wanted to be with him, that her heart belonged to me. She had intended to convey to Michael that their relationship had run its course, but he had preempted her. When I pressed her on the reason for her deceit, she explained that she had mistakenly believed herself to be in love with my friend, but now understood the fleeting and frivolous nature of those feelings. She expressed profound regret for her actions, her hope that I wouldn't seek a divorce, her declaration of love, and her willingness to go to any lengths to make amends. I made it unequivocally clear that I had no need for her sacrifices, that the trust between us had been irreparably shattered. I informed her that following the divorce, I would require unrestricted access to our son whenever I desired. As for the unborn child, I stated that any discussion would have to wait until after a DNA test. With those words, I left, and in the days that followed, I gradually removed my belongings from the apartment. Our divorce was finalized a year later, after the birth of a baby girl who, as confirmed by the DNA test, was not my biological child. My ex-wife and Michael now cohabitate, but their relationship is reportedly fraught with turbulence, characterized by frequent arguments and his periodic abandonment of their shared home. This information has been corroborated by both my son and a mutual acquaintance. Despite the acrimonious nature of our split, my ex-wife has never denied me the opportunity to communicate with or spend time with my son. I even make it a point to occasionally purchase gifts for the little girl, recognizing her blamelessness in the situation. My ex-wife sometimes reaches out, though her calls are few and far between. Our conversations are strictly limited to matters concerning our son or instances where she requires assistance. We don't engage in discussions about life, and truthfully, I have no inclination to delve into such topics. There were hints and attempts to broach the subject in the early days, but I feigned ignorance, pretending not to grasp her intentions. As for Michael and me, our once unbreakable bond has been severed. When our paths inadvertently cross, we exchange nothing more than curt greetings, not a single word uttered beyond the bare minimum of social niceties.